Like, what is always the good thing and the right thing to do?
Okay, and my point is that it's a fundamental error to think that the things that we think are good are really good, or the things that feel good are really good, or that things that feel good are really bad.
Yeah, this is how we started this whole conversation today.
But I would go deeper. I would not only say that it's about the person's personality. I would say that, like, literally everything. Like, you think it's bad that your kids just got murdered? No, it's not. There's nothing good or bad about this. It's only your evolution that tells you that this is bad. You think it's good that you found like a person that you love and that really fulfills you. No, there's nothing good about this. This is just evolution. I think it's a fundamental error to think that those things are truly right or wrong.
Can we define right and wrong?
What is good? What is bad? What is true? What is false? My guest today is Udesh Habaraduva. He is a student of cognitive science and artificial intelligence in his master's. And today we talked about meaning, the difference between subjective and objective meaning. We talked about nihilism. We also talked about depression and suicide. And I laid out an idea of myself, or maybe belief, I'm not 100% sure of, but the idea that we humans, we are just machines. And I let him challenge this, and yeah, we really talked about all the parts of the human condition. And a little trigger warning: if you have problems with the thought that everything is meaningless, then maybe this is not the right episode for you, because we went really into it. I was kind of surprised by how strong the argument was that I built. And it's interesting if you want to get closer to truth, but sometimes ignorance is bliss. I would still watch it, and I truly enjoyed this conversation with Udesh. Guys, enjoy.
One general thought that I want to mention is that, so I've written down here, many people confuse their outlook on the world, which is fundamentally based on their temperament and personality, as the right way to be. Right? I think from a few episodes that I got, like, for example, I'll give you an example, right? The example, your friend who wrote the book, right?
Yeah, Ross.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I listened to the entire episode. I was like, this is great. And do you remember the part where he talked about his outlook on businesses and companies and what they do, and like how they're like his perspective on corporations and the corporatization of
this is kind of bad.
Yeah, right. Yeah. It's a very negative vibe, and the things he enjoys doing, the things that he wants to do, the things that gives him meaning, right? Things that makes him feel like he's doing meaningful stuff. A lot of that is you can predict, and you can sort of like, you can understand it just by looking at the personality of the kind of person he is, right? Like but if I had to guess his personality traits on a big 5 based on that podcast, right, I would say he's fairly open, right? Mm-hmm. He's very high in openness to experience, very like empathetic, but I know that's not a dimension. But
agreeable.
Agreeable. Yeah. He's agreeable. All this, etc. That makes him more tilted towards the kind of things that he likes, right? Mm-hmm. But the thing is, when the way people talk, they can't help. Even I can't help this, right? They can't help but put forth the way they want the world to be, or the problems that they see in the world. They can't help but put it forth as if it's fundamentally wrong or a fundamentally bad way to be, instead of something that's just relative to the personality and the temperament that they have inside of themselves, right? like his fundamental dislike of for example, the corporate environment and all this stuff, etc., etc., etc. Yes, he has a lot of good rational arguments for it. I agree, but also fundamentally, those are arguments from his personality, from his temperament, right? For example, I'm a super conscientious person. I'm a very disagreeable person. I like environments that are competitive. I like environments where it's like no bullshit. I like environments where it's do what you have to do, no matter what it takes. That's, of course, I'm going to think fucking companies.
That's your bias.
Yeah, I'm going to think companies are great. I'm going to think everyone should just do what they can. Everyone should just work as hard as they can all day, every day. Everyone should fucking just, like just go, right?
Yeah.
That's like the opposite of him.
Yeah.
Okay. But for me to say that's the right and the only way to be would be a mistake, because I am putting an image out into the world of how I think the world should be in a way that I think matches with. It's not just like it's fundamentally right? It would be wrong for me to say this is how the world should be. What I'm seeing is this is how the world should be, given that I am the person that I am, and I value the things that I value, right? Like there's no amount of cognitive behavioral therapy that's going to make me a more high in politeness or
that's not true.
Like
actually,
there is look let me there's definitely
some room
for improvement. So there is room for you to move up and down in dimensions that you're not fundamentally let's say set up for, right? There is some movement.
Yeah.
Okay. Especially if you're not an extreme person, right? If you're not an extreme person in any of these dimensions. So also, like, I want to clarify something.
I wrote an exam about this yesterday, by the way. My exam yesterday was exactly.
I want to clarify about this. Like, I think there's a lot of criticism about big five personality scale. Whatever the criticism may be, it is one of the most sound and fundamentally statistically significant representations of personality that we have. Okay, that doesn't mean we understand personality. That doesn't mean that doesn't mean we understand, like we talked about earlier. Being able to predict something doesn't mean understanding, right? So we don't understand necessarily how personality is formed, how it's blah blah blah. But we know these are some very crucial dimensions, and we know the kind of questions that get you to the values of somebody in those dimensions, right? So, for example, if you ask, if you've taken a big five personality scale, obviously, right?
Yes.
Think about the questions that you asked, right? Like, if you do you think everyone should be treated equally regardless of blah blah, or like you think competition, whatever those questions are, right?
Yeah.
They're targeted to capture these dimensions. So there is movement. There is room for movement. For example, especially if you take psychedelics, like we know it's empirically that if you give people psychedelics, their level of openness increases persistently for a while. It comes back down to like normal, but you can have transient and semi-long-term changes in openness, for example, but not in like everything. So psychedelics doesn't also make you like really smart or really like hardworking.
Nice. Yeah.
It does what it's targeted at, which is openness, right? Which is exactly what happens if anyone's ever taken psychedelics. It's like, and the most reported feeling is a feeling of oneness with everybody, right? Which is like basically how you would describe openness. So one thing, this is one point that I wanted to make. I think everybody, especially people like if you're listening and you have been on this podcast before and you're listening anyway, I highly recommend you take a personality scale, because what it gives you is it gives you some perspective. It gives you the perspective that, oh shit, maybe I'm not right. Maybe this is just the kind of person I am, right? Because if you are walking around thinking that the world should be this way, and I have the right perspective of how the world should be, it's going to suck, right? You have to have some understanding that some parts of how you think the world should be and what you think is right or wrong is fundamentally shaped by the kind of personality you have. That's what I mean. I'm curious to think what you think about this. This is something I think about.
Yeah, I actually I had exactly my exam yesterday. My last exam for this block was personality psychology. So I literally learned like everything about the big five and different like personality tests and what personality is. And I think that like at one point it's like if you also count in like people's beliefs, like this is you can count them. Like there is debate if you can count beliefs towards personality, but like let's just say person's belief. Of course, people believe that they are right. You know, like everyone is like my way of seeing the world is the right way of seeing the world, because otherwise they would see the world in a different way. You know, if I and for sure I would say like the thing your point is mostly that our personality, so the way how we are like predisposed, this also changes our way of seeing the world.
Yeah, like my point
and seeing other people
exactly.
As well.
So my point is that like okay, so let's say you have there's something you see in the world that you think is a problem. Okay, like for example, let's take your friend's problem with corporate. Okay. Yeah. Before you jump straight into criticizing this entire structure in its entirety, I think there's one layer that you have to examine is like, okay, first understand why you think these things about this thing you think about, right? And one of the factors that influences what you think about this thing is your personality. Are the kind of things that you like to do, are the kind of experiences that you've had, the things that give you meaning and joy and things that get you out of bed, right? Of course, you can have rational reasons and goals to why you want to do certain things, but I'm sure you've learned like the big part of our brain that's just like it's below this level of conscious, slow thinking, right? And that's we know personality emerges at a very young age, like very young children. There's a saying, people with children. I'm going to butcher this, but the saying is like people who have children understand inheritance, but people with more than one child understand like innateness. That means like something like if you ask people with kids and they'll tell you that from a very young age both their kids were very different. Right,
this is called temperament.
Exactly. So there's a big part of this, and my whole point is that you should take a second to think and think that just because you feel a certain way about something, because you have a good reason for something, it doesn't necessarily mean that this is how the world should be. This is why we have democracy. This is why we need a way for people to talk and contribute their own perspective, which is based on their experiences, their temperament, all these things, to a collective decision-making process, right? Because nobody has the full picture at any given time. It's just not possible. The world is too complicated, right? Like, for example, there are times in the world where you need a more open approach, where it's like you need more people coming in, or like, for example, immigration or whatever. You need more of this, more, etc. But there are times in the world when like you need to get shit done, and shit needs to get work. Shit needs to be well defined. Shit needs to be measured, calculated, and executed. Right? For that kind of thing, you need more conscientious, more conservative kind of people. Like there's a saying, liberals start companies and conservatives run them.
Yeah.
Right? Like, because those are different strengths and weaknesses that we have, and we all need to bring them together to work, right? So that's one thing I wanted to mention, because like I listen to a lot of the episodes, and it's not just your podcast, like in general, people tend to say the world should be this way, but I think it's really important that you understand why your personality is telling you this.
And like my thought, like you also wanted to know my thought, and I think it's like not it's not only personality.
Yeah,
like,
of course.
It's not. It's like everything. This is like a I don't know if you could in the end say it is meaningless to say that every person just has his subjective view, but it's like
no, it's not meaningless. It's not meaningless at all. I think that's like, it's not meaningless at all. Okay, because I personally think that the reason that something like free speech exists or works, empirically works, the reason that something like, okay, free speech is such a loaded term these days, but like, what I want to say is the fact that something like a system where each individual gets to contribute their own experience in their own way outperforms other systems. I think there's a reason, because I think fundamentally everybody's experience is unique.
And all together can...
Yes.
Yeah.
There's a lot of overlap, of course, right? Because we're all human beings, and we all, first of all, at the lowest level, we all obey the laws of physics. The only laws in the world are the laws of physics. Everything else is a recommendation.
Yeah.
Right?
Elon Musk.
Yeah. And there's a lot of overlap, but our daily experience is very different. And we have to have a mechanism by which we can all contribute this to the system. Right? And I think so. Saying that everyone's experience is unique is not arbitrary. It's not arbitrary at all. It is actually fundamentally, because people have stopped believing in the soul, since Nietzsche, whatever. But people have stopped believing in the soul. But like the fundamental idea of a soul is this unique, unalienable unit of thing that makes every person special somehow, right?
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of reason to believe that this is true. And I think that does not mean that you can say, oh, everything's. That doesn't mean you can say shit like, oh, everything's relative. That's like shit that makes no sense. Okay, like first of all, that phrase is so fucking stupid. Like, like you have to also specify like in what domain you're talking about, right? And people invoke shitty understanding of like general relativity, and I'm like, dude, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about, so shut up. Okay, but no, I don't think it's not meaningless to say that everything is special.
Yeah, so your main point is that, okay, people see the world in their subjective way, and not like people think they see the world as it is, but they like we all believe that the way we see the world is the truth. But
no, not just that. We all believe that the way we see the world should be is how it should be.
Okay,
that's the worst part. Everyone walks around thinking the world should be exactly the way I think it should be. I do it all the time. I do it all the fucking time.
Yeah. Okay. So we all have like ideas, and we all believe that our ideas are the truth, but they like it can't be, because if everyone's ideas, because they
exactly
conflict.
like think about it, right? Like, so when your friend is talking about companies and that things that he didn't like.
Yeah,
and the situations where he was feeling like he was part of something really, really important, he was doing some important work.
Yeah.
Just by describing that, he has to describe it in terms of good and bad, right? But what you have to always keep in mind is it's good and bad for him, not good and bad for everybody in general, right? But that's not the vibe you get when you listen to most conversations, because people are like, they put forth their opinions as if this is bad objectively, no matter what, and this is good objectively, no matter what.
So for example, like working in this company in this environment is something bad, or not it's something that doesn't fit my personality.
Exactly. Because I can give a million arguments why he's wrong.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. But in the end, it's also not good.
Yeah.
It's just maybe a good environment for you and a bad for him.
Yeah, exactly. There are no such thing as good and bad. There's pros and cons.
Yeah.
For you.
Yeah, okay. Like the only thing is about the truth thing that's maybe interesting, that I believe, okay, we all, as all humans, we have like our super subjective, biased way of seeing the world. It's biased through our personality, it's biased through our experiences, it's biased through like just being a human. And I still think that we can get closer to truth. Like,
absolutely.
Like,
Yeah.
and this is what I call like rationality. You know,
Yeah.
this is like the
Science is the best tool we've
Yeah.
got. Science is the best tool we've ever had to getting closer to the truth.
Yeah.
And I am not I'm not like one of those like, science is great, you know, like fuck everybody else, fuck religion, fuck all this
Yeah.
shit. I'm not that kind of person. I'm very tentative about this. But as far as a tool goes, science is by far the best tool we've ever had. So the scientific process is by far the best tool we ever had to get closer to the truth, like you said. And
Yeah.
I think that is the beauty of existing. That you can always get closer to the truth, and there is something fundamentally truthful. And you know, if you listen, like if you read the Bible, which I haven't read, but I know by proxy, it's like you know, the truth is beautiful, and like the truth is good. Like,
No, I don't agree.
No. What I mean is like,
why do you think the truth is beautiful?
No, what I mean is
Good.
like you can get closer to the truth, and that is there's like I don't know, like that is like good or good in the sense. I'm not going to talk about this because I don't know. I haven't been thinking about the Bible in a long time, so I haven't like I don't have a good enough depth to carry on this conversation in this.
Yeah.
But there's an idea that the truth is good, but in terms of defining what that is, I have no idea.
Okay, my thought, like, truth. I think truth exists. So there are things that can be more true than other things. This I believe, but I don't believe that good and bad exists. I think good and bad is always 100% subjective, and it's nothing that really is. Good and bad can only, okay, maybe it does. Like if there is an objective meaning, the thing that I'm searching for, then in this case, good and bad would exist. But I'm pretty sure that there is no good and bad, but there is true and false.
We'll get to that.
Yeah, okay.
That's good. So that was the first comment that I wanted to make.
Yeah.
Okay. There's another comment that I wanted to make about youthful ignorance.
Mm-hmm.
So many of the people you've interviewed have
Yeah.
been fairly young, your age, or a little bit younger maybe.
Yeah.
And I realized that this is saying that I'm too old to know. I'm too old to think that I know everything.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, so there's
Okay.
you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because like some of the I'm a teaching assistant, so I'm around a lot of really young people who are like 10, 12 years younger than me sometimes,
Mhm.
right? And they say things with such conviction and such belief, which is honestly I envy. Like I wish
Mhm.
I wish I was that convinced of anything in my life at this point, which I'm not, right? They have this level of conviction and belief. And for one thing, sometimes it's funny because like I've had those exact same thoughts and they've changed in like 3 years,
Yeah.
right? So I'm like, I don't argue with them. But there's people have to appreciate that where you are in your life and the time of your life that is unfolding plays a really big role on what you hold that is so dear. Like, so I'm an old guy, older relatively, so I have to keep in mind that like there's this there's the youthful ignorance and aged pessimism, right? Where like I have to understand that the experiences that I've had are not all the experiences that can ever be had by anybody, right? So I can't say that, okay, just because I had this experience, you're gonna change as well.
You're like the old wise person that knows everything. No,
exactly.
that's not true.
Exactly, not true at all, right?
Yeah.
So it's like I think so. Those are the two things that I wanted to address. Like one thing I wanted to mention: get an understanding of your personality. It'll give you a better understanding of why you think and feel the things you feel, and then it makes you less angry at people who don't feel the same way. That's the most important. That's the most important thing that I gained from understanding my own personality a little bit better. I'm less angry at people who think otherwise because I realize, oh, this is just Like it's not like I'm walking around and everyone I see is wrong. It's like, oh, they just have a different things that make their life feel good for them, right?
Yeah.
And the other thing is, consider where you are in your life, and have the possibility, like the number of people that I interact with who don't even have in their mindset the possibility that their point of view will change a year, 2 years down the line is unbelievable. How do you have that level of certainty? That's insane to me, right?
Yeah.
Like, but it happens all the time to me. I'm like, what? I'm like, how? Okay, so you can't argue with people like that. So I'm not. I mean, I'm a fairly argumentative person.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
but like both of your points are pretty much that people believe that they are right. Like people have a biased way of seeing the world, and they believe that their way of seeing the world.
Yeah,
is
and
the
sometimes
right way.
they're right because the world goes up and down in different waves, and sometimes they're wrong, and you just have to be able to navigate that space. And I think understanding your personality a little bit and having a perspective of the possibility. I like this idea. It's strong ideas loosely held.
Mm-hmm.
It means my ideas are really fucking strong. I really give shit up, but I'm not holding them really tight.
Yeah.
They're like something happens up. Okay, fine. You know, like obviously these are. I recognize these traps because I fall into these traps all the fucking time, right?
Yeah.
Like, so it's just something I wanted to mention. And the last thing I wanted to mention regarding Minya's I can't say his name. Podcast, Michna.
Yeah.
He made a comment about drug addicts, which I think is drug addicts.
Okay.
Which I think is unbelievably wrong, and I'm not bashing him right now, but I wanted to mention it specifically because this is a general idea that people have, that he said that drug addicts don't realize their life is messed up, right? And they just keep doing it, and they keep doing drugs for fun because they think it's great, right?
Yeah.
That is unbelievably wrong, right? Because I've been around drug addicts. I haven't been a drug addict, but like I used to abuse alcohol quite a bit, and my uncle was an alcoholic, right? I've been around people like this, and they are not unaware that their life is shit, and they are not unaware that the things that they do are making their life even worse. It's not that simple. Like I know, I know one person who I really cared about, who I guess I still care about, and she knew full well what it was doing to her family, to me, to her friends.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that she didn't care and that she just thought it was great. She was dealing with something else. And like, it's not like, oh, this was awesome and I want to keep doing this. It's such a deeper hole than that. It's really hard to explain. But it's not just about chasing highs and having fun, right? And the example people use a lot is cocaine, because they have a bad understanding of how dopamine works, and they think cocaine is just a lot of fun. It is a lot of fun to do.
Mm-hmm.
But a person who's addicted to coke is not exactly running around trying to have the best time of their life. There's a fundamental hijacking of the system of the neurochemical system in their brain that makes doing anything else almost impossible. Right? And so I just wanted to set that clear. So it's not like, so, you know, when we say in the context of, oh, if all I wanted was to be happy, I would just take cocaine every day, right? I don't think that's a good.
Yeah.
That's a good argument against why searching for happiness is a bad way to live your life.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yeah,
I don't think that's a good argument at all.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
Right? That's the only point that I wanted to make.
Yeah. About all, there's something I was thinking about, like through the last weeks, and like last Sunday or something, not yesterday, but the week before, I think I sent some WhatsApp messages into the group where I had like a little mini crisis, and where I texted into the group. Like in this moment, I really realized how relative anything. Like it's pretty much the stuff that you just said. Like how extremely relative everything is. I truly like through all this learning for psychology. I learned about personality. I learned about like especially also social psychology, and in social psychology we learned a lot about what influences us humans, what influences what we like, what influences who we like, what influences what we believe, what and there were like literally like 5 chapters on stuff that influences us humans, the everything. And in the end, the thing that was coming out there, like the thought that I had was like, okay, now I learned like what influences us humans, like 100 pages what influences us humans, and there's no you inside. Like this is like this dopamine addiction example. It's like, are we just machines that are like chasing for like we're just really complicated machines, and like something like cocaine is just something that changes the machine a little bit, or something that hacks the machine to make it want more. And like is there truly like a you under this like I don't know, do you believe that there's something more than just a really complicated machine that chases the thing that it wants to? Because I think cocaine is not even that different. Like cocaine wouldn't even be like, okay, of course cocaine is something really extreme we talk about, but like working or love or everything we want is kind of the same. Just that cocaine is like in a bigger scale and more like maybe it contradicts your conscious the thing you consciously want more than other things. But in the end, isn't everything just like a biological craving that we have? Like not even cocaine, like everything you want to do.
Yeah. But did you expect me to say no?
No,
yeah, of
I
course.
don't know.
Like
I think Andre would say no.
Unless you believe in an eternal soul.
Yeah.
Which I want to believe.
Yeah.
I wish the things I would do to have the kind of faith that like an average normal human person who believes in a soul and like God, and I would love that. I would love it. It would make my life so much, right or wrong. I wish I had that kind of faith in anything. It's part of the reason that I have so much fucking trouble doing anything else, right? Like doing like
anything else but
trying to understand what the fuck we're doing here.
Yeah.
Right? Like, but that's part of the reason I'm studying what I'm studying. It's like, why do I have the experience that I have? Which is fundamentally what you're asking, right? If I am if all I am is the net effect of some biochemical reactions.
So really complex machine.
Yeah, built on laws of physics.
Yeah.
Why do I have the experience that I have? And why do I suffer the way I suffer? And why do I feel good the way I feel good? Like, does my experience have to exist? And that's fundamentally what everyone is trying to answer, right? So when we're trying to build, so in the pathway that brought me to studying AI, for example, is this question. And it's not because, and funnily, the people who were most interested in answering this happen to be people who wanted to build this thing in machines. And you can't do an excellent job of this unless you understand what the hell is actually happening, right? Now then machine learning happened and everyone's like, you know what, we can just approximate what's happening and it's fine, right? Mm-hmm. But personally, I don't think that's the way. I don't think that's going to get us to any closer to whatever. That's a whole different fucking tangent. But yeah, the fundamentally the question of why Why is my experience? For example, I take medication, right? And it changes my fundamental outlook and experience of life.
Yeah, this is so crazy.
Yeah, you can just take some neurochemicals, goes into your brain. It blocks off some receptors or activates some other receptors, and it changes the whole way how it works.
There's nothing true about our experience. If this is true, like,
yes and no. In some ways, it is the most real thing in the world. In some ways, it's the most true thing in the world, right?
Because it's the only thing.
If you believe, I mean, there's no belief, right? If you understand evolution, right? This is the most real thing.
Why? That I don't understand this point.
Because how does evolution work? Evolution, let's say I'm only thinking about this in terms of the real world, right? So compare the world as you experience it, right? With color vision, your human senses, hearing, sound. Compare that to the experience of a bat.
Yeah, different.
Very different.
Yeah.
Okay. And now, is the world of the bat any less real than the world you live in?
I would argue that both are not real. Like both is just like both is just a way of experiencing something that we don't really know.
Right. So the reason I brought up evolution is because you're right. That's an excellent. Yeah. Okay. The reason I brought up evolution is that one of the core components of evolutionary theory is that what survives, what propagates, the genes that propagate are genes that confer some survival advantage to the organism that has those genes. Okay? And there's a very close organism-environment relationship in terms of evolution, right? Now let's just think about the world as we perceive it, as we experience it, right? We have had billions of years of evolution, right? And there's this question of if the world it's like an optimization problem, right? Like over billions of years, we have gotten better and better at perceiving the world. So in some way.
So to perceive these things that are relevant.
Yeah, there's something here, right?
Yeah.
There's something here.
Yeah.
Okay. And our senses, and for some reason, organisms that were better adapted to interacting with that thing that's there survived.
Yeah.
Would that mean that those organisms have a fairly true representation of the environment?
I don't think so. I think we have we see our environment in a way that helps us survive, and that's everything. There's nothing. Maybe, there is like some underlying truth, because like, of course, we experience something that exists. Like, of course, it's pretty we experience something that exists, but that doesn't make it true. Like, just the fact that you can take some medication or some drug or whatever, and you experience everything in a super different way.
You can do.
It's
even more crazy. You can take. You don't need drugs. You do some cognitive behavioral therapy, and it changes. And all of a sudden changes everything.
Exactly. And not only this, like this thing I learned in social psychology, like how much other people influence what we believe. Like there is no there's no truth in our beliefs.
You're right.
Yeah.
This is fundamentally what. So the issue here is that if you follow this train of thought, if you follow this to its logical conclusion that nothing matters, you end up you end up at nihilism, which is not not exactly.
Where you want to adopt.
Yeah, and weirdly, nihilism doesn't promote propagation of life. If you're nihilistic, it's like a self-terminating state.
Why? What is the problem with this? With being nihilistic?
Like, I don't know. I have this this is intuition, right? It's like if you're nihilistic, actually,
what is I would argue this intuition is just
what is
see, just the machine.
The issue is, okay, let's start with the premise: nothing matters, and then we need to start. Okay, we need to start adding some constraints, right? If nothing matters, for example, nothing matters, then why should you do anything? But see, because this,
why not?
Because like. Exactly. So like, if you come to a point where nothing matters, then it contradicts certain things about your life.
How do you mean that?
Right? If nothing matters, then it shouldn't matter that you're cold or hot.
Yeah.
It shouldn't matter that you're hungry or thirsty.
Yeah.
It shouldn't matter that you care about. It shouldn't matter that you have
your mother died
or whatever.
Yeah, exactly,
right?
exactly.
But this is not the case.
I believe this is the case, but the fact that we are humans, is that like just because of evolution, we started to believe that this is not the case because it's adaptive to believe that this is not the case. Because if we would believe that this is the case, we would all die.
So fundamentally, yeah. So like I think the fundamental question asking is, why does life exist at all?
I don't know if this is the question.
No, that is the question because why should that be evolutionarily adaptive? Why should it be adaptive that you lose warmth and food?
No, this is pretty clear why this is adaptive.
Why?
Yeah, because this way we survive.
Why is it important to survive?
It's not important to survive. No, this is the thing. There is nothing important about surviving. Surviving is only.
So why would survival?
The things that survive are the things that are, and we are. It's not that the things that survive are somehow better than other things. It's just like if you look, if there's something that survives, it's more likely to be. You understand? Like
but why would that exist in the universe? Why should that be a thing?
Yeah, because okay, random chance. At one point, something starts replicating, and this thing that starts replicating then exists more often than things that don't start replicating, and then this thing starts to replicate in a little bit of a different way. Okay, now we have maybe in a more efficient way. Okay, so now. This more efficient thing exists more than the first thing that was replicating because it can replicate more efficiently. And then the train of evolution, and there's nothing special, nothing better about the stuff that survives, about us humans, about it's just the fact that we survive makes us be like this is. Yeah.
You should read this paper that came out recently called Assembly Theory.
I just listened to a podcast on the way here. I'm not done with the podcast. It's the Lex Friedman podcast about assembly theory.
Yeah, I think this is a good thing. So I'm gonna read. No,
but you know what I mean.
I found, dude. Fundamentally, I agree with you.
Yeah,
I agree with you. So, given that is the case, it is. Isn't it? It's so weird that we have the experience that we have.
No, okay. The fact that we have experience is weird. That's true. The fact that there is like qualia, that there is like that there is the fact that it is like something to be. This is weird. But the fact that our way of being is like that we feel like that warmth feels good and cold feels bad. That it feels bad if our wife gets murdered or our kids get murdered. This is not surprising, I would say, because this is like super adaptive. But I don't believe that this is true. Like I don't believe that it's truly bad if you're this is like, okay, you can go like really hard. I don't believe that there's something fundamentally right or wrong about anything. So anything that we humans believe is good or bad, there's nothing true about this. This is only because evolution made us think that this is good or bad, just because it's adaptive.
What are the implications of this? Because I'm interested in how we should exist.
Yeah.
Right. I'm interested in questions like how we should live, how we should structure our societies, how we should structure our lives, generally speaking. Is there an implication for that in this frame of thinking? Which by the way, I'm almost 100% with you.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah. The implication. So maybe I would say I don't know yet, but I know that. So I want to find out what is right and what is true, and I believe that that there's nothing true that there's nothing right or wrong about the things that we believe are right and wrong, except trying to get closer to truth.
Maybe we should define, something really funny, something really funny. Not really funny, but like really coincidental. On my Medium, the tagline that I have there,
A Medium?
on my Medium blog, like I have where I put my short stories and stuff, right?
Oh damn! I don't know about this.
There's a tagline, like the subject, like the description of my profile page, like a tagline.
Yeah,
whatever,
yeah.
Right? I must have put this. Dude, it must be like at least 10 years now. I put that up there. No, I don't know if Medium has been around that long, but it's been a long fucking time. And what I put there is there is no enduring good except perhaps the enduring search for it. Okay? And this is because I was fundamentally thinking about this problem. It's like, what is always the good thing and the right thing to do?
Okay. And my point is that it's a fundamental error to think that the things that we think are good are really good, or the things that feel good are really good, or that things that feel good are really bad.
Yeah, this is how we started this whole conversation today.
But I would go deeper. I would not only say that it's about the person's personality. I would say that like literally everything. Like you think it's bad that your kids just got murdered? No, it's not. There's nothing good or bad about this. It's only your evolution that tells you that this is bad. You think it's good that you found like a person that you love and that really fulfills you. No, there's nothing good about this. This is just evolution. Like I don't say like there's I don't know how exactly you would implement this way of thinking in your life, because you could just still say, yeah, I don't know if it's good or bad, true or false, but I will just enjoy this experience that I have as a human with all the things, believing good and bad, like believing in beautiful lies, as Andrew would say. But I don't think, I think it's a fundamental error to think that those things are truly right or wrong.
Can we define right and wrong?
Yeah, I don't believe that right and wrong exists. This is a thing.
I mean, but if you're going to say something is not right or not wrong, you have to be able to define what not is.
So, I would say, okay, true and false is definitely something different from right and wrong. Okay. So you can make a statement that is true and false, but right and wrong is okay. Right and wrong is a judgment. So you can judge or good and bad. I don't know, right and wrong. Right and wrong. Let's leave right and wrong out. Let's say good and bad and true and false. True and false exist, I think. Good and bad doesn't exist. So if you say it's good or no, it's bad that my kids got murdered, this is not a good example.
So my kids got murdered. True or false? True or can be true.
It's true.
It's true or false. Is it good? Like, is it right or wrong that my kids got murdered?
I don't believe that right and wrong exists. I believe that like right and wrong only. Okay, for right and wrong, you have to find something that is like you have to find something meaningful. You have to say, okay, this is like better or worse is also a word like this. I don't believe that there's. I'm searching for it. Like this is exactly the point of this podcast. Like I'm searching for, is there something good and bad? Is there something right and wrong? Is there something, but like the argument I'm trying to make is that we as humans, the things that we intrinsically believe are right and wrong, the things that feel good and bad, there's nothing right and wrong or good and bad about it, because it's only evolution. It's only like there's nothing truly true about this. This is the argument I'm trying to make. I don't know if there's some objective meaning that could give things the attributes right and wrong. Like, I'm searching for this, but I'm pretty sure that you don't find it in our feelings as humans.
Okay. Sure, I agree with you. I think if you bring goals into this, then by definition of those goals, you have right or wrong. Right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I agree.
Okay. All right. So let's talk about objective meaning.
But, wait, by definition of goals you have, but the difference there are two different things. You can say, okay, this is my subjective goal, and therefore this is my subjective right and wrong. Or you say, this is wrong objectively. This is right objectively.
No, in the way you define it, there's no way to say this. Right? There's no way to say this is objective right or wrong. It can only be right or wrong.
People do.
It can only be right or wrong relative to the goal. But when people say things are right or wrong, you have to. There's the subtext, which is like it's right or wrong based on what I want the world to be like, or what I think the world should be like.
Yeah.
Right? Or like it, or what I think the world has been like, or what I like, what I don't like, what makes me feel good, what makes me feel bad. There's always that subtext. Yeah. It's never people are.
Yeah, it's always relative.
People are never ever telling you that something is objectively right or objectively wrong. They're always telling you something is right or wrong relative to a goal or something else, or their experience, how they feel. Right? So goals give you a very good way to sort of constrain this search space to make it make it tangible. So yesterday, when I was listening to this guy's got the most ridiculous name. Michna. Christ. When he's talking about the Porsche. And I was
for people listening, Michna was a guest on my podcast, and his life goal is to get a Porsche by the age of 30.
Yeah.
And he believes he wants to. He doesn't believe that this is like a meaningful goal, but he thinks we just should have like some goal and strive for it and enjoy the journey. And
absolutely. Yeah. I agree with him in that sense. Like,
no, you can go. Sorry.
We have billions of years of like. Millions of years, hundreds of millions of years of evolution that makes us want to move towards things. If you don't have goals, you don't get there. No goals, no dopamine. I mean, there's dopamine obviously, but this is very oversimplification, right? Dopamine is a way of moving you, getting you to move towards things. It's not about making you happy. People need to really understand this. Dopamine is not about feeling good. And feeling great.
It's about wanting.
Dopamine is about wanting. It's about moving forward towards things that you want.
Dopamine is goals.
Yes, exactly. So, I agree with I agree with what he said on that. Like you definitely have goals, and then when you have goals, it narrows down this problem that you have. Like what you have, I think you're articulating a real thing. I think that's true. I think this is like a form of survival. This is like a form of survival bias, right? Because we survived from billions of years of evolution. We have this bias that this is right, this is wrong.
Yeah.
Okay. True. The issue I have with this, the things that scare me the most is that couple of things. One thing is that when someone tells me nothing matters, it really scares me. It's really scary. Partly because, I've been dealing with suicidal thoughts for years. Like, I don't know, as long as I remember, right? It's much better now. But it always stems from this idea that it always starts with some variation of nothing fucking matters. Nothing I do matters. I don't matter. What the fuck is the difference, right? So like there was a point in my life where sort of the only reason I hadn't killed myself is because I didn't want to hurt my parents. That was like a constant thought in my head. Like if I did this, like I was like, oh my god, if my parents weren't here, I'd probably kill myself right now. Like that's a That's a thought that used to happen all the time. Does it happen? It doesn't happen a lot now, but that's because like I've taken a lot of steps to make the search space, construct the search space, so that I don't get to the question of should I kill myself very often. It's all the way down in the search tree. So like I have to go through a bunch of other shit before I get there. Yeah. Sometimes it happens, but it's mostly fine, right? And everyone, so that's scary to me, right? But another thing that's scary is that I'm also scared of people who will look at things in the world and be like, yeah, who cares? That's just, it's all relative.
You're right.
Because people don't understand and think about it at the level you're thinking about it.
Yeah, they will just take it and
you are thinking like the conversation that we are having and the conversation that we are having is a real metaphysical, philosophical conversation about reality. Yeah. Right? But most people will hear this and it's not what they will think. They'll be like, oh yeah, fuck it, nothing matters.
Yeah, then I can
and then they will use that shit to justify their own shitty behavior, which is fucking awful. Which is also a fear that I have. Which is not to say that this is not a conversation that shouldn't be had. Yeah. I'm saying this is probably one of the most interesting conversations human beings can have. Yeah. It's like, what is the nature of reality? What is the nature of truth? What is the nature of what we should and shouldn't do?
Yeah, what's the nature of good and bad? Yeah. Exactly.
What's the nature of good and bad? Yeah. Right? What is good and evil? Yeah. Right? This is like these are like timeless. The reason why you and I can have this conversation over and over again and never get bored about it is because this is such a fundamentally difficult and rich problem that you almost never get tired of talking about this. Right? Yeah. And it is something that should be had. But at the same time, so that's what scares me. It's like so what scares me, nihilism is one thing that scares the shit out of me because that's terrifying, and a lot of people go down the hole and then they're like, oh, what the fuck, and then they end up, their life is just a disaster by their own standards, or not by like our standards, by like their own definition of what my life should be like. And other one is like people justifying this shit, using this shit to justify all their shitty behaviors.
Okay. Yeah, I see your points, both of them, 100%. Like the first point, the one with the this is like, I think I have a advantage in being a nihilist because through my upbringing, everything.
I don't think you're a nihilist.
What?
You're not a nihilist. I'm not. There's no definition of nihilism that I would give that I would ascribe to you, bro.
Okay, yeah, maybe you're right, but
look at your behavior. Yeah. Look at the things you do in your world. You're generative, right? You're like, okay, there's hope. There's there's no way.
Okay.
Maybe I have the definition of nihilism completely fucked, or I have the wrong idea.
No, stop. I think I think no. You. But I think the thing is,
this is LGBT.
Yeah, we can. But this is the nihilism. Okay, maybe is nihilism also a way of living? Because if nihilism is only the belief that nothing matters, then I think it's very, very, very likely that this is true. But this doesn't mean that you have to be sad. That doesn't mean that your life is shit. This is the point I'm trying to make. This doesn't mean.
Okay. No. Like I definitely had this fucking. Maybe I had it wrong, because like it says, nihilism is the philosophical belief that asserts the absence of objective meaning, or intrinsic value in life. Nihilists generally hold the following views. Existential nihilism. This form of nihilism argues that the life has no intrinsic meaning or value, right? According to existential nihilists, any value or meaning that can... Okay, actually, shall you work through this? Because this is pretty nice. They give me...
Keep reading.
It gave me a list of things. I think we should talk about them one by one.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah, okay.
So let's talk about existential nihilism.
Yeah.
This form of nihilism argues that life has no intrinsic meaning or value.
Yeah.
According to existential nihilists, any value or meaning that an individual ascribes to life is subjective and without universal truth.
This is existentialism as well. Yeah. Existential nihilism. Okay.
Existential nihilism. Okay.
I don't know if this is true.
Okay.
But I would say it's very, very, very likely that this is true. Like, my point in this podcast is that I try to search if, like, I search for this tiny speck of a chance that there is objective meaning. And I search for this, if this exists. And people call me, many people say like, this is crazy unnecessary.
Why?
Yeah.
Why is that crazy unnecessary?
Yeah, because people are really sure that nothing... That's the funny thing. People are really sure that there's no objective meaning, but they don't act like it.
They don't. People are partly unsure. Partly they are terrified that if it does exist and they're not doing it, what does that say about their life? Like if there is something that's objectively good and true to do, they're not following that, they're not doing that, then that means by definition doing something that's not meaningful, right?
Yeah.
And no one wants to hear that shit.
Yeah.
No one wants to be told that what they're doing and what they care about is meaningless. Like that's part of the reaction that you're having that you're getting from people. It's not that they don't think that it doesn't exist or anything. It's like it reflects on their own beliefs. It's like if there is something like this, then what the fuck does it say about the shit that I'm doing in my life?
Okay.
Right. But I'm curious, how will you know when you find objective meaning? If you found it, how would you know?
Yeah, that's the problem. Or not. I don't know. Maybe you just know. This is like I'm giving everything the benefit of the doubt in the beginning.
So,
you know,
this is a problem. This is a problem that needs to be solved. How if you
I know.
This is this is the kind of shit that you will read in the fucking Alchemist. It's like you don't know what you're looking for, but if you look for it and you find it, you want to get it.
I know how I know. I know when I can't prove that it's not the meaning. So or when I don't have arguments for it not being the meaning, or when I can't argue that it's not the meaning, because. Of course, you can always argue something, but if there's no like really solid argument against it, because for now, like I'm giving everything the benefit of the doubt. Like God exists and God gives life meaning. Okay, now I search for arguments against it. Oh, I found some arguments against it. Okay, maybe then God isn't. Maybe God doesn't exist, and therefore God, like following the 10 Commandments or something, is not the meaning of life. And I'm just keep going. Somebody says, okay, follow your feelings. Okay, now I'm trying to search for arguments about why if our feelings are objectively meaningful. Okay, this is like our whole conversations, that I believe that our feelings are not objectively following, like trying to change our feelings are not objectively meaningful. And I will just keep going, and at some point maybe I find something where I'm like, this is objectively meaningful, and I can't find arguments against it being objectively meaningful, so it is. So
a couple of things that came to mind, right? So suppose you spend your whole life searching and you don't find it.
Yeah.
You still can't claim that there's no objective meaning.
100% true.
Right? There's no way for you to claim this.
Yes.
Because you haven't found the evidence for it.
Yes.
And the other thing is, if search you see, like I forgot what I was going to say.
Yeah.
But it just slipped my mind. But yeah, the first thing is that you can never claim that there's no such thing as objective meaning, because you didn't find it and someone else will find it.
Yeah.
But no, like my main concern here was that how do you know when you found it? And that's a difficult question to answer.
Yeah.
It seems.
I don't know if you can ever be 100% sure.
Because the criteria, one of the things that our brain does is one of the things that our brain is good at doing is keeping track of your progress towards a goal. Okay?
Yeah. How do you mean? Yeah, okay. Yeah, of course. Like, no matter what goal you have.
It keeps track of how so people, couple of things. First, people avoid making goals for themselves because then that gives a clear
way to fail.
Way to fail.
Yeah.
A clear mark of failure.
Yeah.
Either you're getting towards that goal or you're not getting towards that goal.
There's a clear good and bad. If you have a goal,
clear good and bad.
Yeah.
Exactly. So goals have this fun, amazing effect of trimming the search space down to almost nothing, and then giving you a metric to work towards.
Yeah.
Our brain seems to be very well wired for this situation.
Yeah.
If you play, this is why I don't play video games, because video games are so addictive because they hijack these principles.
Yeah.
Right. So people don't define their goals because they like to keep it vague, so that they don't have to fail. But the downside of that is, if you don't have a clearly defined goal, you don't get to move towards it. You don't get dopamine.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So on the one hand, you get to this nebulous, everything's possible, everything's good thing.
Mm-hmm.
The downside is everything's possible, so life fucking sucks. Like brain doesn't your brain doesn't deal well with situations of everything is possible.
This is Mikna's argument. Like it's pretty similar to Mikna's argument.
It perceives that as anxiety. Like the perception you have of anything is possible is anxiety.
Yeah.
It's like, okay. So, and what do animals do when they are scared or anxious? They freeze.
Yeah.
They don't move. They stay in one place. They're like, okay, what the fuck is happening? Right? And once you have a goal and a direction to move towards and some way to navigate that space, then all of a sudden your brain's like, okay, here we go, moving forward, right? How are you going to track your progress towards this goal if you can't define what the goal looks like?
So, one point here, I believe that by searching for something this abstract, it's the most abstract goal you can have. It's like, okay, I'm searching for, or I don't know, it's the most abstract thing, but it's like I'm searching for objective meaning. What the fuck?
So you basically want to disprove nihilism, right?
Yeah, I try to.
Essentially,
Exactly. This is like the point of this podcast. I'm trying to, or it's one part of this podcast because I'm. It's pretty likely that it's like I'm pretty convinced already that it's true. From like the last 2 years, I was trying to disprove it, and like every attempt I made failed, and every argument I found failed, and so I say it's pretty likely that this is true, that nothing matters, but maybe something matters, and this for just for this maybe I'm searching for it.
I think the issue I have with nihilism is that if you live the way it prescribes, right? Like, okay, for example, moralism asserts that there's no moral truths and that moral values are entirely subjective and baseless. In this view, no action is inherently moral or immoral. Okay?
I believe that's true.
Right. Political nihilism. It's a rejection of traditional political ideologies and structures. Political nihilists may advocate for the destruction of these structures, but they don't necessarily propose any alternative system.
That's bullshit. Yeah.
Okay. So the issue I have with this stuff is this seems seemingly true, but empirically, if you act this out in the world, things get objectively worse.
Okay. The thing is,
for the human.
Yeah.
For the human.
Okay. Stop. What do you try to find? Do you try to find truth, or you try to find?
For me, truth is, does it work in the world? That's what.
No, but that's not truth. Just because something works, it doesn't make it true.
This is the only reality that we have.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Agreed? And we have laws of physics. Okay, fine. The only reality is we perceive.
Yeah.
Okay? That we experience.
At the moment, yeah.
There's some, who knows what, there's like dark energy, all kinds of crazy shit happening. Who the fuck knows, right?
Yeah.
For me, I think, again, fundamentally, my view of all these things is sitting fundamentally on this idea that human beings are good.
Mm-hmm.
And I know this is going to be problematic, but this is obviously, I don't have a rational reason for why human beings should be better than human beings are good and should exist. Of course, who gives a fuck?
Mhm.
In the grand scheme of things, grand scheme of the universe, it could be meaningless.
Yeah.
Or we could be the only intelligent life in the universe, and this could be the most meaningful thing that's ever existed or ever will ever exist.
I would still argue that it's meaningless, but
Right? Like, okay, meaningless. Okay,
Yeah.
if you just say, okay, fine, let's define meaningful as extremely rare.
yeah,
Okay.
I would not define it this way.
I wouldn't do that. It makes no sense. Okay, but like, that does make sense.
Yeah.
But let's say in the grand scheme of things, I agree with you. It doesn't fucking
Mhm.
matter, right? But
Probably.
but I'm also interested in the objective experience as a human being.
Yeah.
Okay, and I think that I am not willing to tear that foundation down any further, because I don't want to go there. Because I don't know a way out of that hole, right?
Okay.
For me, the hole, the furthest I'm willing to dig down is that I think human beings are a fundamental good thing to exist in the universe.
So I have three.
There are plenty of arguments why this is not
I
true.
have three approaches how you can deal with this.
Okay.
Okay. So the first is the thing I'm okay. One, you can just decide you are a human even if nothing matters. Like, let's say nothing matters. Okay, what can you do? You could like kill yourself because it doesn't matter. Yeah, but you could also not kill yourself. You could, because you probably die at some point.
Yeah,
like,
equally meaningless,
both,
right?
Equally
Like,
meaningless.
exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you could just decide that you are. That if nothing matters, you can just act like you can just act like something matters. So you can just choose something.
Exactly.
So
there's something very freeing about this. Like, no, I completely what you're saying. Because it's like, but then what you're falling. So this is interesting. So you start out from the position nothing matters, but then you have the subjective experience of some things feel better than other things, or some things, because you have a brain, you have a neurochemical system, right? And okay, so maybe it turns out that actually, okay, nothing matters. So I can sit at home, jerk off, and watch Netflix all day.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, or I can do something much more difficult, right? I don't know. Do something difficult and productive.
Yeah.
Let's fill in the blank with something. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. So choose just another goal that's essentially meaningless, but
so both of them are essentially meaningless, right? But because we have the brain that we have, one thing gives a certain kind of feedback to our brain. Another thing gives a certain other kind of feedback to our brain. And how do you get beyond the local minimum of feeling good, jerking off, eating, staying at home, and then moving towards, and then pushing past the difficulty and hardship to get to the next one?
The cool thing is that you are not 100% animal. So you can reflect on it and you can think about, okay, which life will I be more happy? And I argue that in the life where you start taking heroin, you will not be more happy in this life. Like, of course, the first, like, whenever you get the hit, it will be amazing. But like, in total, your life will not be better. I think your life will be much better if you just choose an arbitrary goal and be like, okay, this is my goal now, and you search for, you try to achieve it. So, yeah, I think.
So, but then
this jerking off is not like really an option.
But then there's this empirical feedback from the world, right? So, dude, you have to understand. I'm always thinking about conceptual framework, conceptual abstract framework in the mind, application into the world, right? Feedback from the world, and what does that say about the conceptual framework? That's kind of how I see the world.
Wait, explain this again.
So.
Sorry.
Let's say, so the way I think of it is like we have this conceptual framework of how we maybe I'm overly concerned about how you should behave, what you should do, but that's my bias, whatever. So for me, as far as I can tell, whenever I read something like nihilism, I think of it as a prescription for how you should conceptualize the reality that you're faced with. right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you read this description of nihilism, it gives you a description of reality.
Yeah, how you
right?
should deal with it.
A description of reality.
Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily say what you should do. Like, it gives you a description. Here's a description of reality.
Mm-hmm.
Something most everything's meaningless. Generally, I don't think, maybe we shouldn't say everything's meaningless. Everything has the same relative meaning.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Everything is equally meaningful. That's the same as saying everything is meaningless.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So you can flip this and say, if everything's equally meaningful, you can just pick to do something else.
Yeah.
And it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So how do you make the decision to pick one thing over the other?
Yeah, you could believe in like beautiful lies, as Andre does. So just choose something. And just be like, okay, this is my thing now. I just chose this. But yeah, it will be super informed by your...
That's what I did. That's what I did.
Yeah.
Like 4 or 5 years ago, not 5, 5, at about 25, when I was 25, I was doing nothing. I was jumping from job to job. I was like dabbling in little shit. And I was like, okay, this is not good. And then one day I was just like, yo, just fucking pick something. Just pick something. Doesn't matter how bad you are. It doesn't matter how many arguments you can come up with it. Pick something and give it 100%. Like, give it everything you can possibly give it, and then see what happens for a year. Yeah. Just fucking go, right? And I was like, okay. I was like, fuck it. I picked, and the first thing that came to mind was studying this, coming to do this thing. And I was like, it was. I did search it down. I did reduce the search space a little bit. I tried to find the intersection of things that I found interesting and things that I thought were really hard. And I was like, okay, yeah. Like, somewhere in the middle, I was like, trying to understand intelligence and trying to build this shit on a program sounds pretty hard. I had to learn how to predict, I had to learn how to code, I had to learn how to learn psychology, I had to learn neuroscience, I had to learn chemistry, I had to learn how computers work. I have a background in engineering. Let's fucking go. I'm going to dedicate my life to this, right? Yeah. And all of a sudden, all the shit that didn't matter, all the shit that mattered, all the shit that bothered me, all the shit just fucking vanished. Like, all the things that were like, I was like no longer, I was untriggerable. Like shit, and like people would come tell me shit, and I'd be like, yeah, that doesn't matter. It's because like the only thing my brain was doing was like, information comes in, is this information relevant to my goal or not? Yes, absorb. Yeah. No, ignore. Yeah. Life became super simple. Yeah. Right. And then right. And then people kept telling me things like, dude, you're so focused. You're so determined. Like you're so you're so clear. And I'm like, oh shit. Right. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. So I basically did what you did. I just picked an arbitrary fucking goal. But I picked something that was a bit ambitious. That was a bit ridiculous. That was like, because I was like, okay, because part of me liked the idea, liked the feeling of people saying, dude, that's fucking crazy. I like people talking. I like people thinking that I can't do something. Like it makes me happy. I don't know why. Like it just makes me. It just fuels me, right? Yeah. And like so I just picked this fucking goal, and I was like, let's fucking go. So you're right in the sense. So there's something. So what is it about goals? Why are goals such an important thing?
I have to say something. Because this is I said I have 3.
Sorry. Yes.
I have 3, and I already forgot one of them. But so one I forgot, and the main one, and this is the thing that I do. It is like, because I have one argument against nihilism. I've like one and I think it's really strong. I have one thing that I think is objectively meaningful, like literally. And you can say, like, I will bring this argument for you now, and you can tell me if this thing is objectively meaningful or not. Okay. Or you can tell me if my argument is sound, or you can try to debunk it or something. Okay. So my argument is, so we say, it is really, really, really likely that nothing matters. Like 99.9999%. Like we're not 100%. You are not 100% sure that no objective meaning exists, but you say, like, it's super likely that nothing matters. That nothing.
Which means everything matters.
Or no, but yeah. But stop. You say, it's really likely that everything matters the same way. So but 99.999%. But still, if you say this, you also say 0.00001% chance that there is something that objectively matters. And from this argument, I say that the only thing that objectively matters is searching for if something objectively matters. Because if there is this 0.00001% chance of something matters, then the only thing that is meaningful is to try to find it.
Yeah.
So, and this is exactly what I'm trying to do. Like, this is like, so yeah, this would be.
So what about the rest of us?
Yeah, why you search with me? Let's go.
Nah. Not interested. Like, I'm happy with like Andre says.
Yeah, beautiful eyes.
Yeah. Like, the reason I am happy with it is also because I think I guess part of me is nihilistic.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's like, yeah, there is no objective thing. You just pick something that you want to do and fucking go do it, right?
Yeah.
And I guess in that sense, I'm like the inverted. It's like if you take nihilism and then invert it, it's like, everything matters. So just fucking pick something and go for it. Like, you know, like there are certain things that I think are fucking jokes. Like, like I'm not gonna talk shit about social sciences right now, but I could. But there's a lot of shit that's just like, whatever. Who gives a fuck, right? Like these are this is a non-topic. But if someone came to me and said, dude, I am 100% interested in gender dysphoria in poodles, and I want to spend my life studying this, I'd be like, fucking go for it. Yeah. Fucking go for it. Like, but if you're gonna go for it 100%. Like, because what I've understood is that no matter what the fuck it is you pick to do, if you give it 100 and if you give it everything you have, you always come up with some. It always comes out in some way that you didn't expect. Because people usually think things either work out or they fail, right? But usually, if you actually give it everything you have, what happens is things either work out the way that you expected, or they work out in a way that you didn't expect. Yeah. Right? That's usually what happens. Things often almost never fail totally catastrophically. They tend to just open different dimensions.
Put a lot of work in.
Yeah. So like, I guess in a sense, I learned today that I am a nihilist, except in the opposite direction. It's like, yeah, fucking pick something, go for it. That's interesting. I learned something new today. That's good. Yeah. That's very interesting.
Yeah. The thing is, so many people, like, I think you're there with many people that believe this way, but most people don't really admit or know that they believe this way, because you think like, of course something matters, because if you think nothing matters, then it's like bad, and but
so okay. I guess I choose to believe everything matters, and that you should try to, but again, I do the best I can to constrain this search space of things, right? Because I think I have chosen to believe, with no real evidence whatsoever, that there's some evidence, but not really, that humanity is awesome. I think humans should exist. I think humans should propagate. I think we should go to other planets. I think we should fucking build Dyson spheres around the sun and fucking build awesome shit and be cool as fuck. Like build fucking stuff in space, do all the cool shit, like have four limbs, fucking brain, computer, everything. I want it to go all the way 100% all the time. Right? So based on that foundation, everything else, that's my foundation. And then everything else sort of filters down that hole. It's like, how do we do all this? How do we make things better for people? Because like, okay, yes, but the thing is, I have to recognize that this is a fundamentally me problem. Not a me problem, but like a me perspective, right? Like, I'll give you an example. Okay, I used to date this girl who was we should have done a personality test before we started dating, because we couldn't be more different, right? She was, so the best example of this is that she forced me one day to go to a animal shelter. She's like, come with me to volunteer. It'll be so much fun. Like, the people, like, meet the people, meet the dogs and the cats, and like you get to help. It'll make you feel super good, amazing. And I was like, this is gonna fucking suck. Like, I fucking hate this, right? Yeah. And she was like, come on. I was like, okay, fine. So I went with her, right? And I went to this fucking animal shelter. It was a fucking disaster, right? There were like animals dragging themselves on the ground with like their legs like getting bruised every day because they can't like walk, so they have to drag their back legs on the ground. All this shit, right? And like animals with no eyes, like ears missing, legs, like just a mess. But there were also other animals who were like just didn't have a place to go. Like they were like normal, fine looking animals. Right? Yeah. And this was a place full of very open, very agreeable, very like all fill in the blank personalities, right? You could feel it when you walk in there, okay? Because otherwise you wouldn't work in a place like this, right? And then, of course, I am the asshole who like walks in there, looks around and says, you should put some of these animals down. Because like clearly they are in pain, they are suffering. Put them down, and that will also increase the likelihood of other animals getting adopted, because nobody wants to walk into this fucking nightmare and then think, oh, I want to take this fucking animal home. But then they were fucking shocked. Like they were like, how the fuck? She's like, why would you say that? This is so fucking cruel. I'm like, and I was unable, like, they were unable to rise above their level of seeing the problem, and I was unable to see from their perspective, right? And so there was this massive disconnect there, right? And this is like back to what we were talking about back in the beginning of the podcast, of like how you see things a certain way, okay? And how did I get on this tangent? What the fuck was I talking about?
I don't remember, but I have something.
Okay.
The suicide point you brought up.
Yeah.
And I think this is also so strongly connected to the way of how we were brought up, how all our experiences, all our personality and stuff. Because this is the thing I wanted to say. Me as like a nihilist, I'm really lucky because with my upbringing and everything and my personality, I am super biased on seeing things positively. I don't have trauma stuff, you know, like this is super rare. I don't know if there's like another person in this world that doesn't have.
Dude,
like,
that's amazing.
Yeah, exactly. This is
why you don't have to justify this. This is good.
But it is amazing. But it's like I also have to recognize that this is not like the normal the default, because for me I can just because of this. I have a really secure base from which I can say nothing matters and everything is still good. You know, like for me, if I say nothing matters, everything is still good. Like I wouldn't think like, okay, if nothing matters, I'm still like.
This argument wouldn't fly if you went to Sri Lanka and told a bunch of villagers like nothing matters. They'd be like, fuck you, bro. My kids matter. My food matters.
Exactly.
Living matters.
And also like. Imagine like a person like I'm really 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 far. I'm like the opposite of a depression. Like
what the fuck is the opposite of a depression, bro?
I don't know.
That's like a fucking psychotic episode. I have no idea.
No. But the thing I mean, if you explain to the depressed person that nothing matters, then the logical thing that follows from this is to kill yourself, because nothing matters and my existence is negative. So if nothing matters and my existence is negative, I would like to end this negative existence. And then like suicide seems like a logical, or it is like the logical way. But if you're like in my position, like nothing matters and my life is kind of good. I'm kind of happy to exist, you know? Yeah. And like from this point, I can really embrace this, okay, nothing matters, and really search into this thing. But I think you shouldn't go to like a depressed person and be like, okay, those are all my arguments for why nothing matters.
Yeah,
because
like
at this point,
people would like try to tell me like when I'm in one of those states, they'd be like, oh, look at your life, man. You have all these friends, you have like all this, you have this money, you have a house, your family loves you, your life is great. That doesn't change how I feel.
This is just, and this is the machine again. This is like, if you're like, you are really complicated. We humans, like, let's say we are really complicated machines.
Yeah.
And like, if this machine is like, has like this negative bias, like, okay, this, for some reason there's like an imbalance inside you that makes you see everything feels kind of bad. Like everything is like this. I would say this is, I don't know if this is depression, but if we say it's like this, you have like this kind of bias inside you that everything is negatively tainted. Like everything has like this.
You're in the ballpark, but like this is such a deeply studied phenomenon that like nothing you say is going to be right.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, it's probably true. But let's just say like you have like this filter on everything.
Yeah.
So if everything is kind of negative and nothing matters, okay, logical conclusion, end this negative existence. But and this is the point where you need something.
Thing is, my own subjective experience.
Yeah.
Is that it's not like a rational. It's more like this everything doesn't matter. Actually manifests as pain. Like it hurts. That's why I want to end it, because like it hurts. Like this feeling of nothing. This feeling of nothing matters, and like nothing I do matters. I don't matter. I'm just a fucking
speck in the dust. Yeah.
If that was just a rational like a argument in my head, that would be fine. But there's pain. Like it hurts, and what I feel like I want is relief from that pain. And that's why and that's why I would think about ending it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I think as humans,
maybe you should put a trigger warning on this episode.
Yeah. As humans, we are really, we want to have meaning. I think this is the thing you say. Like this, like it feels it feels like there's pain associated, and even for me, I feel like it feels better to have like something you say, okay, this is meaningful. I'm striving for this meaningful goal is much better than being like nothing matters. Still, with like my positive filter that my biological machine has, I can say, okay, even if nothing matters, it's still kind of good. Like I still kind of can enjoy existing, you know? But this is also the different, this is the thing. Like if nothing matters, if you truly believe nothing matters, then to me, you could just say, yeah, then just enjoy it and be like, yeah, nice, then I just enjoy it. But tell this to a depressed person, yeah, just enjoy it. And it's like, what the fuck?
There's
like,
pain. It hurts.
What the fuck enjoy? Like everything hurts.
If existing hurts, that's a problem.
Like, and tell this person to enjoy everything. Like, what the fuck? Like I'll enjoy this pain. Like this is bullshit.
Yeah. So that's what I'm always running from, is like this existential pain. You know?
Yeah.
Like, and this is part of the reason that Buddhism really fundamental, like really meditation and Buddhism really helped. I mean, Buddhism, I was raised Buddhist. You know, in terms of my experience of my life, I have nothing but, I mean, okay, I have some shit. Like, shit didn't happen to me specifically. Shit happened to our family or like our environment. Like shit just happened, you know? But I always have every memory I have of my parents they did for me and my family, except some very specific individuals, have been great. For me, I've seen all this shit happen, but what I've also seen are two people, and my grandfather, for example, come together and like work their ass off and like really care about something and someone, me, and like make something happen, right? So that was just a comment, just to say that like even even though you may have had a really great life, I've also had a great life.
Yeah.
Like I just have to like, it's just a different context. Like my life, I wouldn't change anything about my life. Well, maybe like, yeah, some things I would rather not have happened, but mostly it's anything I would change would things that I did, not the things that happened to me. Things that happened to me, they just happened to me. But there are things that I've done as reactions to those things that I wish I hadn't done, you know, like, but I'm very lucky in that sense, in the sense that like I got out with, like I'm always living on this edge. It's nice. Like,
you're always living on this edge?
No, not living on this edge. It's like, what was this? Not the right way to say it. It's like, it's not like I'm always like teetering on the killing myself, right? That's not true.
Yeah.
Because there are people. There is the case. This is the case for people. Some people like who are really dealing with this. For me, the edge. I mean, I always remember how bad things can get, and I'm very, very, very aware of the path that will get me to that position. Like I remember a point in my life where the pain I felt was almost unbearable, and I was able to identify things that I was doing that was contributing to this feeling, and I've gradually eliminated these things out of my life, and the pain is substantially minimized. Okay, it's not zero, but it's not like I can like life is nice. Yeah, right? Life is there's brightness, there's light in life.
Isn't this 100% evidence for this, that we truly are kind of machines that kind of make us like we feel a certain way because of certain reasons. There's no truth about how you feel. Like there's no when you felt this deep pain, like there's no truth about this deep pain, because it's like, okay, your environment made you like your environment, your habits, the things you did made you feel this, and now you did something else and now you feel in a different way, but none of those two is true. Like
true in the sense that like the
true in the sense
pain was true, the feeling, that feeling
it exists,
that existence is real, like I exist. Right, and starting from that point, it's like, okay, well, maybe I can do something to make this existence a little less painful. That really helped, you know. But I can't just say, oh, this pain, I can't argue pain away. You can't. It's hard. It's very hard to argue away pain.
Yeah, you can't. That's true.
Right.
But also, if you feel like this pain and you feel like everything is bad, this is not true. But the same, if you feel like everything is good, this is also not true.
One of the things,
this is just your bias.
The reason I brought up Buddhism is because it gave me this perspective of that, like, before I could start to change, I had to accept the situation as it was. Right? I had to really, like, whenever I feel really, really depressed, like I did like a couple weeks ago, I was like, dude, I'm feeling like fucking down as shit. The thing that helps me the most, that alleviates a layer of the pain, is to just accept it, like just to sit there and like really feel it, like really, like little, like don't be like let it wash over me, like really feel it, and then actually it doesn't last that long. If you really, really try to experience it, really look for it, like really, okay, where is this pain? What am I hurting for? You realize all of a sudden you're thinking about, you know, Netflix, and you're like, wait, oh, it's fine. Okay, but like, you know, but that's because I have food and I have I have friends, and like there are things that I enjoy doing, like lifting weights and all these things, right? And but yeah, it's hard to argue away pain. But if you meditation, two things. So Buddhism gave me that perspective, and meditation gave me another perspective, that like I am not my thoughts. Like I don't have, like it gave me a way to step back from my thoughts and just think, this is not me. Like because I have these thoughts, because I think these things, doesn't mean I have to act on these things. They're just thoughts. And it gave me ability to just sit back and just like watch them walk through my brain, like, oh, okay, yeah, everything sucks. Yeah, but then like, oh, you know what? Things are also good. Like, yeah, this okay. And you don't have to act. So it gives me like a little buffer, right? And so like one of the comments that I get from people who I date sometimes is that I'm very cold and that I'm unreactive to things. This is because I've been practicing this. I've been practicing that for years because I have to. I can't like react and like act out and feel and be and let my immediate thoughts influence my behavior, because that would have been catastrophic for me for a long time. So I have to like really think like, okay, it's just like, do I have to act on this thought? Do I have to like act on this feeling? No, move on, right? So it's a double-edged sword. You can come off a little bit unfeeling sometimes if you adopt this way of like being, but at the same time it gives you this amazing superpower, because as people are getting washed and like thrown around by the emotions and their feelings, you have the ability to like be like, okay, let's take a second, take a step back, look at the situation as it is, look at the room you're in. Like, so one of the things that it helps me, so when like you are, one of the things that helps when you're really in a negative mind spiral or state is to really ground yourself in the environment that you're in, right? Look at the colors of the walls, the carpet, the smells, the sounds you're hearing, the feelings in your body, do a body scan, bring everything down. So when you're like in a heightened emotional stage, you're charged, being able to bring yourself back down to the real environment, it's like having superpowers, around most people. But it's really helpful. And in terms of meaning, I think pain. It's hard to argue against pain, bro.
I think this is true. And I also think that there is something in this conversation. There's still problems. There's still things there are so many things we subjectively think are different. Like we bend the truth immensely, like in all the stuff we said today, all the like. This is a topic where I really want to dive into, and I really like, this is something I was researching a lot, and like really trying to get into truth and really trying to understand what is meaning without the human biases. And
but you're human, bro. You live in a human body.
Yeah,
you don't have to invent an AGI to ask it that.
I will. This is the plan. Okay. Do you want to say some finishing words, or
finishing words? No, man. This is always this is fun as always. Let's do this again.
Yeah, I love this, and I really want to dive into this. And there's something in this stuff we talked about today, and I am thinking about this for a long time. Like, it's not that this conversation is the first time I'm thinking about these thoughts. I'm trying to, like, I think like since like for pretty much since I have Obsidian, like 1.5 years or something, I'm really, really trying to understand this. And I know that I'm getting closer, but I feel that there's like, sometimes in my Obsidian it happens that there's like a giant knot, like this. I have like notes and I have thoughts and I put them in, but they're not connected in the right way. And I don't know how to connect them in the right way. And they are like kind of, it's a knot, you know, it's, and at some point there is a moment where I go in and I suddenly understand, and I start to clean it up, and suddenly everything makes sense. And I'm not at the point, like on our conversation, I'm not at the point right now, but I know there is something there, and I will keep on searching for this, and I will maybe one day I will
Yeah, for
understand it.
You should
Thank you.
watch Jordan Peterson's Maps of Meaning lectures.
Okay.
They are
Really?
unbelievable. I think they really tackle a lot of the things that you're interested in. The Maps of Meaning lectures he gave in Toronto.
Yeah.
They're amazing.
Okay.
All right, bro.
Thank you, Udesh.
Absolutely.
Bro, this was such a good conversation.
For sure.
Okay.
See you.
See you.
This has been a Rational Optimization podcast. I hope you learned something. Guys, I made something cool. On my website, I made a list with my favorite episodes. So if you haven't listened to all the episodes that I already made and you want to know where to start, like there, I listed like in the rank of how much I like them, all the episodes. And I regularly, like whenever there are new episodes that I really like, I update the list. The link is in the description. Enjoy.